or indirectly to offer it. World leaders must adopt a 10-year time frame to reduce greenhouse emissions by 90%. That will only be possible if the United States discloses its knowledge of the ET presence and technology and what has been accomplished in 60 years of back engineering, at least in the field of energy. The UN should declare 2012 the year of forgiveness and reconciliation, a new era of cooperation and, using the Greek word agape, love, between races, tribes, religions, nations, and regions, both mondial and intergalactic. We have so much to learn from our star visitors in many areas, including medicine and food production. So the U.S. must relinquish its privileged position as the center of the loop as part of a new kind of leadership, leading the world in creating the better world that we all dream of. Now, none of this vision of a just and peaceful world will be possible unless the all-pervasive powers of the international banks have been broken. In 1999, I wrote a book in which I said the next world war would be between the banks and the people of the world. There have been skirmishes for centuries, and so far the banks have always come out on top. They are now taking advantage of the recent meltdowns and the resulting sovereign debt crisis to line up their heavy artillery, including the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve System, and the Bank for International Settlements for a final conclusive battle. As always, the aim of the game is to rob the people of the world of their sovereign right to govern their own affairs and to entrench the power of the international banks, their elite industrial allies, and a small cabal of military and intelligence insiders who run the world as their private fiefdom. The word unjust is too small a word by far to describe what they're up to. If any skeptics think I am overstating the case, don't take my word for it. Go to www.victoryfortheworld.net and read some of the books that can be used as references. 100 pages of The Web of Debt, for example, setting out the history of money, would probably be enough to make you sick at your stomach. I stopped reading it at night because it often made me so angry I couldn't sleep. Well, I entered politics more than 60 years ago because I thought recessions and depressions were quite unnecessary. They were monetary phenomena with a relatively easy fix. I have made hundreds of speeches on the subject and convinced a few thousand people, but never the movers and shakers. And the mainline press were less than helpful. They were so jaundiced that they were not interested in a maverick speaking truth to power. So it was always a case of David versus Goliath, to use a biblical analogy. Now, for the first time, the power exists to turn the tables and go for the jugular. The internet is providing power to the people that they have never enjoyed before. The young people of the world, in concert with the thousands of their parents and others who care about the state of the world, can use the power of social networking to effect a miracle on their own behalf and that of succeeding generations. The valiant people of Tunisia and Egypt have shown the way by achieving what was believed to be impossible. We share their euphoria. At the same time, they and we must acknowledge that it is only the beginning. Real freedom will only be possible when they have escaped from the tyranny of international banks and Wall Street is no longer able to manipulate the price of their daily bread. Thank you. A good start might be to distribute perhaps 1 million copies of this speech and translate it into a number of languages. Then the rising generation can bombard the barricades through their social networks. Regime change is not necessary except for leaders who refuse to see the light. But concerned citizens of the world should band together and rattle the cages of all federal politicians. Tell them bluntly that they must vigorously support the above agenda or face inevitable defeat at the next election. It is a simple message, but it is the only one that they understand. At a press conference on March 29, 2001, announcing that the U.S. was backing out of the Kyoto Protocol, President George W. Bush said, quote, "A friend is someone who tells you the truth," end of quote. Well, that is what I've been doing today. It is a message of global hope for every race, color, religion, and nationality in the world, and of peaceful relations with visitors from other realms. Thank you. I think I have about 10 or 12 minutes left, and I'd be happy to take questions if some of you would like to have me elaborate a little bit.
Is this mic live? Yes. I have a question. Recently, I've read some interesting data on global warming that indicates that human activity accounts for less than 1% of the total warming on the planet, that the sun and the sun cycles are totally dominant. And anecdotally, I would like to mention that a professor at CU recently told me that he had done considerable deep core drilling and found no correlation between the carbon content of the atmosphere and the ambient temperatures. So I'm going to suggest that there may be another global conspiracy going on here, which is that the governments want to control the economy and humanity through this effort.
If I believed that, I wouldn't be here. And I would recommend a book called The Floods of Our Grandchildren by James Hansen. And I think anybody who reads it's a heavy read, but if you read it through, you'll be convinced this is the number one facing the globe at the present time. And sure, there's some heating from the sun, which is affecting other planets. We can't do anything about that. All we can do is change what we do, and that is what I think we have to do right away.
And what about the releases from ClimateGate and all of the secret memos that prove that data was manipulated?
I'm sorry, I can't give credence to...
Amidst all the negative news and talk, which is certainly true and justified, I'd just like to have you comment on the revolution in South America in the financial system and human rights. They have finally, except for perhaps Colombia and Peru, gone to leaders that are truly representative of the people and are eschewing the IMF and the associated financial institutions that you spoke about.
Good.
Would you care to comment on that, or
comment on
do you have anything to say about that? I mean, do you think it's a beacon for the rest of the world to look at?
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing. Maybe the reverberations. I don't know whether I can continue this or not. I'll put another earplug in here and see if I can. What was it again?
Just the revolutions that's taken place in South America in terms of kicking out the IMF and the World Bank and creating their own financial system and led by Chavez and Evo Morales and I think that's a hope for the world.
Yeah, I would say more power to them. We'll take two more questions, and then
I was hoping that Open TV can release the copyright of your speech so we can just copy and spread it around.
What I'm going to do, if you go to this website, we'll put the speech up on the website so that you can download it. And if you want to spread it, if you think it's worth spreading, if every one of you would download the speech and send it to 10 people and ask them to send it to 10 more, it only takes 4 steps until we get up to the 1 million people, and then you're likely to get the real change in the world that you're looking for.
I'm currently reading The Web of Debt, which is basically saying the same things that you're saying right now, you know. I don't know if you're familiar with the book. I assume you are, you know.
Yeah, that's the book I was referring to.
Oh, was it?
Ellen Brown.
Do you discuss this in your book, Light at the End of the Tunnel, or are you doing another book related to the banking?
Pardon me?
Do you discuss this banking situation in Light at the End of the Tunnel?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Are you doing any other book that you're going to concentrate more on this?
Sorry?
Are you going to do another book concentrating more on the banking?
No, there's one book already that I republished recently called A Miracle in Waiting.
Oh.
And it's listed in the list on the...
Is that for sale here?
No, it's not for sale here, but you can get it from Amazon or from Barnes & Noble or whoever.
All right, thank you.
A Miracle in Waiting, and it's the one on economics. This one is more global, and it has one chapter on the subject of...
What is your website, sir? What is the website?
This is the one I'm talking about is www.victoryfortheworld.net.
Can you speak about the responsibilities that Canada has taken in this mess and what you think that they are able to do? Canada, what responsibility do they have in this and role are they playing in this?
Well, they're as bad as anybody in the world. And certainly on this, we don't take the question of global warming seriously. And we're a very bad example there. We go along with the States and Australia and some of the others that are foot-dragging and have been for a long time.
Thank you.
Aren't economic downturns planned by the government? And what's with all the gold being sold?
It's not. They're not planned by the government. As I tried to point out, that often it's been the financial people, the bankers, who have triggered economic recessions, and some of them, just a few, the elite ones, benefit from it at the expense of the others that buy up the small banks and they buy up the assets at low prices and so on. They're the ones with the incentive. Okay, well, I think that's enough questions. Thank you very much. I'm going to be outside autographing books. If anybody is interested, why come out and I'll be glad to autograph your book for you.